We are just about 2 weeks out from the start of the 2023 legislative session. There are a lot of important issues that really have already come up, and there's only a few more days to file bills before it all begins. So here with us today to break down everything we need to know looking ahead to next month, I should say, is House Speaker Charles McCall. Speaker McCall, welcome in.
Shelby, great to be with you today.
So happy to have you here. Obviously crunch time here in a lot of ways. So first, I just kind of want to set the scene here. Let's talk about some overarching goals as you look ahead to this session and kind of what types of bills will be your priority.
Well, I think we will continue to look at probably one of the largest challenges we have in this state, and of course every state's dealing with this, is workforce. Oklahoma's had a great run of success economically, continues to be strong, but we're reaching a point of critical mass with our workforce. And as you saw last session, we put a lot of resources into building up pipelines for medical professionals, teachers, and we'll continue to focus on that. Economic development opportunities are pretty exciting here in the state of Oklahoma with the surplus revenue that we have. And tax reform will be back on the table again this year to try to help people in the state of Oklahoma and businesses with tax burden and inflation burdens.
And speaking of that, right, Oklahomans are feeling it. We see it everywhere, grocery store, you name it. I know back during the summer, the House and the Senate were a bit at odds over kind of what to do with inflation reform and tax relief. So how will the House specifically, continue those discussions this session?
Well, the House, I think you'll see, act again. Last session, we acted on personal income tax cuts as well as the grocery tax relief. The House really believes in cutting taxes. We will advance those bills again this year. The state has an unprecedented level of state revenue. We feel like that the people of the state have been experiencing high levels of inflation to the likes that we haven't seen in 40 years. So we would like to we'd like to put money back in people's pockets to help them with their family budgets in that area. We will have to find consensus and agreement with the Senate and with the governor. But I think the House and the governor have been very much aligned on tax cuts last year and will continue to be. I'm very optimistic. We've just had a great meeting yesterday with the Senate Pro Tem and the governor and myself, as we normally do before session, and to talk about some of those priorities.
One of the big things we heard, especially during this election cycle, from new Superintendent Ryan Walters, was school choice, this idea of school choice and how that is going to manifest itself this session. Yeah. From your perspective, where do you stand on school choice, and how do you think those discussions will go?
Well, I think I think the members of the legislature do care very much about the parents' right to pick and choose how their kids are educated. But the House has been very firm and continues to maintain the position that whatever education policy that we seek in the state, we need to make sure the policy works in all areas of the state. So some of the accomplishments that we've had in that area were with Open Transfer, Opportunity Scholarship Fund, which gave parents more options, but with Open Transfer, it doesn't matter what part of the state you live, you could utilize that mechanism. Some of the other mechanisms that were discussed last year, the House had a problem with because they might work in certain parts of the state but not everywhere. The House will continue to work to make sure that education policy and all policy works well throughout the state, no matter where you may reside.
Do you think that there's room for compromise in the education topics, and because we've heard some Republicans be very staunch in their beliefs on which way it should go, and vice versa with Democrats. So how do you think there's room for compromise here?
Yeah, I think there's always a solution. You just have to work towards a solution that benefits all parts of the state. And with education, you have multiple entities. Everybody's a stakeholder in education, and with parents and students being the common denominator.
So at least 2 pieces of legislation have already been filed at the Capitol so far ahead of the session to reduce the availability of gender-affirming care here in the state. Do you see this issue as being a big point of contention and discussion at the Capitol this year?
It will be a point of discussion this year, but gender reassignment is something that I think you'll see legislation on this year that will advance to protect children until they reach the age of majority, or to an age that, they can make a decision for themselves. And so I am aware that there's multiple pieces of legislation filed right now. There could be more, but we'll take a look at that after all the filings have been completed. We expect there to be probably 2,000 plus pieces of legislation filed just in the House, and probably the same in the Senate. And once the deadline passes, we'll know exactly what all is out there to be considered.
So we went over a couple, just last question here before I let you go. Anything in particular that we didn't really touch on today that you see as being something that, will be widely discussed here this session?
Be interesting. There's always something, Shelby, that's unforeseen
Right.
that pops up. We've been through pandemics. We've been through, a unforeseen winter storm that we haven't experienced in 100 years. There'll be something that we don't foresee. But I am excited that the state has the highest level of reserves that it's ever had in state's history. So whatever those unforeseen circumstances that may arise, we'll be prepared to address them and make sure we get through them.
That's an interesting point too, because this really is the first session in a couple years now where I feel like it hasn't been all pandemic focused
Right.
seeming, and
Yeah.
you guys had to shift and put priorities elsewhere. So definitely will be interesting. Again, the filing deadline is this Thursday, so we really appreciate your time, and get some rest now, because I know it's going to be a busy couple months for you, Speaker.
There's no rest,
Okay.
but thank you, Shelby.
All right, we appreciate it.